everyone, this is Sarah, the Catholic Homemaker. Today I wanted to share with you some physical therapy exercises that were given to me when I was postpartum some of them are targeted specifically for the pelvic floor, but I just wanted to have a discussion about what my experience was. And my recommendation is always to see a physical therapist to get targeted exercises that are appropriate for you. But let's jump into the video and I will share my experiences. First of all, welcome to my channel, everybody. And I would love for you to subscribe if you haven't already. Also hit the thumbs up button if you like this video. Share, comment below. I would love to hear if you have any additional physical therapy exercises that you know of that are good for the pelvic floor during pregnancy. Okay, so with both of my previous pregnancies with my daughters, I have had pelvic floor issues postpartum with both of them. Now, the first one, I did not know it was normal. I was experiencing pain. I'm not going to be specific about what kind of pain it was, but it was in the pelvic floor area. And I did not know that it wasn't normal to feel that kind of pain because I was thinking that the pain I was experiencing was probably because of all the breastfeeding I was doing. But I was going to a LLH League meeting and I was 7 months postpartum and I was sharing my experience and everyone was like, oh, you might want to see a physical therapist, or somebody recommended a chiropractor, but I decided to see a physical therapist because it seemed like physical therapy might be something more targeted, what I needed. And so I went to see a pelvic floor specialist and it was a really great decision that I made. Now, the second time around, I was about 4 months postpartum when I started to see one again. So I didn't wait nearly as long. I didn't notice anything necessarily wrong until maybe 2 months postpartum. And I was just waiting to see if the problem would resolve itself, but it didn't. So I went ahead and saw a physical therapist again. And both times it was a really great decision. Now, somebody close to me who is a physical therapist was recommending to me that I might want to see one even before I give birth this time and to do these specific exercises. She recommended these exercises before I got pregnant, but just some of the exercises are still okay to do during pregnancy for me. And I say for me because it might be different for you, but I'm just sharing my experience here in case it helps somebody else. But she was recommending that I see a physical therapist at least once before I give birth this time around. And I think that's a really great idea because it might prevent me from having any problems postpartum, and then maybe see one once after the birth just to see if things are all right. So I think that's a really good recommendation because I know the first time around, I had to see a physical therapist 4 times before the problem was resolved. The second time, I think it might have been 5 times, so it was more. The second time, I was like, oh, I wonder why it's taking me so long this time. I don't know, maybe because I started earlier, or maybe my pelvic floor wasn't in the best place before I got pregnant. I'm not really sure. So anyway, let me share some of the exercises. Now, keep in mind again, these exercises were given to me while I was postpartum, and they were specifically targeted for me and my issues. So the first one, I'm covering up the top because that's some personal information, but I just want to show you what the exercise looked like. It's called the bird dog, and it's a quadruped alternating. You're alternating the opposite arm and the opposite leg. So you're sticking your right arm out, then you'd stick your left arm out at the same time and try to balance. And then you do the opposite. You do the left arm and the right leg. And I have created a blog post specifically for all of these exercises, and I link to physical therapy exercises where you can actually see the directions to do these specifically. So because I'm not a physical therapist, I don't feel comfortable telling you, instructing you how to do it, because it's very important to have the proper form. So that's why I'm linking to actual exercises that have been written by physical therapists. So that one was given to me, and that's good for stability and for strength. Also, you guys should know, I have some SI joint problems, and that is, I'm not sure exactly how to describe it, but it is in my lower back area, and it's on my right side, my lower back right side area where I experience discomfort. I wouldn't exactly describe it as pain, but I've been really determined recently to add these exercises into my life and be consistent about them. I've been trying to be consistent about exercising, and I've been taking my girls out on a walk almost every single day, even when the weather's not that great. So I've been trying to be very consistent about walking, and now I'm trying to add these exercises in as well. And I'm doing kind of one at a time just so that I can gradually add them in and make it seem like it's not a big deal and it's just part of my regular life. So that's the way I think I can be sustainable about it. And that's my recommendation to you. If you want to make it a part of your regular life, is to just kind of add it in slowly and try to be consistent with one or two things and then add in another thing. At least that's kind of my experience with adding new things. It may be different for you. Maybe you're like okay to completely just jump in and do everything at once. But for me, in my experience, like for me to be sustainable about something, I need to just kind of gradually move into it and make it a part of my regular routine. The next one is the quadruped hip sweep, just to let you see what the exercise is like. Now, like I said, I created a whole blog post where I link to every exercise. This one I haven't added in recently, but I think all of these exercises are very beneficial. Now this one is called a marching bridge, and this one you wouldn't really want to do once you're 20 weeks pregnant because you're not supposed to lie on your back or in a supine position. So that's really especially recommended postpartum. But again, check with your healthcare provider or your physical therapist to be sure and to know what specifically would be recommended for you. The next one that was recommended for me is a hip abduction side lying. So I'm sure you guys have probably done these. There's all kinds of like 80s videos out there where you do those exercises, lifting your leg up and down. I've been doing 20 on each side, and I've also been doing the clamshell ones, which is where you can see where his bottom leg is bent, but then your top leg would be bent the same way, and you're lifting your knee up and down. I've been doing 20 of those on each side. I think it's been for about a week now, and my SI joint pain has completely disappeared. So that's one thing that I have added in consistently in my life recently, and it has made a huge difference for me. So I'm really happy to report that. The next one is a 90-90 heel tap. Now, I don't think, and I don't know for sure, but I really don't think that that's appropriate for pregnancy, or especially after 19 weeks, because you're lying in a supine position. So again, I want to keep recommending see a physical therapist to be sure. Next one is a donkey kick, and I think those are pretty helpful. This one, going from a child's pose to upward dog. Now, I'm sure most of you know what those are from yoga, but obviously those probably aren't that appropriate for pregnancy, especially if you're later on in pregnancy with your belly sticking out. So just keep that in mind, that it probably isn't appropriate for pregnancy. And then the cat-cow position, where you're like on all fours, your hands and your knees, and you're going between like I think that's the cat, where you're arching your back, and then the cow, where you're going like the opposite way. I found that to be very helpful for some back pain I was experiencing. I think it was postpartum, but also during pregnancy the last time. So just kind of alternating back and forth between that position, I think is pretty helpful for a number of back pain issues, but I'm not an expert, of course. That's just my personal experience. Another piece of advice given to me was to always tighten your abdominal wall, to tighten your butt. That's very important. And along those same lines, the same physical therapist who's close to me, they said that really the most important exercise to do during pregnancy is the transverse abdominis. And in my blog post, I link to something specifically showing you how to do that, how to activate your transverse abdominis. And she explained to me that this is something that you can not only just do by itself, but you can apply like throughout your daily life or through other physical therapy exercises. So some of these exercises in here, you want to be activating your transverse abdominis because it's just connected to so many things. I honestly can't repeat what she said because I'm not an expert, but I know she said it's important with the lumbar region and your abdominal area, and it just strengthens those areas. And it's just the transverse abdominis, if it's strong, if your core is strong, then it helps you in other areas with physical therapy or with your body in general. So you obviously want to avoid sit-ups and things like that, because one of the consequences with that is it could cause you to have diastasis recti. That's definitely something you'd want to avoid, but activating the transverse abdominis is not the same thing. And another thing that would be helpful that's also beneficial for pregnancy is doing squats. So that's another thing I've been trying to be consistent about every day. So I'm hoping to eventually add all of these that are safe for pregnancy consistently every day, or mostly every day. And I'm hoping that will help my pelvic floor to be much stronger this time around. And I hope you guys have found this video to be helpful. Again, please don't start doing these exercises like just because it's my experience, but definitely if you're having problems, go to a physical therapist and go to one who specializes in pelvic floor therapy, because you definitely want somebody who's a specialist if you're having pelvic floor problems, because it just helped me so much. And I highly, highly recommend it. It's probably good for every pregnant woman to go like once prenatally or during the prenatal time, and then once postpartum at a minimum. So that's just my recommendation. Let me know in the comments if you found this to be helpful, if you have any questions. And I hope you have a wonderful week. May God bless you and your family.